Let's go. Welcome to the Process of Purpose podcast. Again, we're here to help inspire, motivate, and encourage others to find their purpose through the process of spirituality, health, and wealth, using godly principles and values to break through to the life that God has called us to live. I'm super excited about this next episode, the first episode of 2020. So I'm ready to rock out, man. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about what a decade, right? This decade that we just had from 2010, 2010, right, to 2020. See, now I'm just trying to get myself used to saying 2020, so that's why I said 2010, but it's really 2010. You know what I'm saying, right? So it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing we're starting a new decade. I'm gonna go over what happened in the last decade. Not what happened, because I don't want to go over everything. There's way too many, things that happened in 10 years, right? I was like a little kid 10 years ago. I was 18 years old, so we're not gonna go through everything. There's a lot, and I'm sure, and I already shared a lot with you guys. You guys can hear it in past episodes, but I am gonna hit on some key things, some highlights, some big wins, even some losses, some failures that we can learn from. But the important thing is that you take away that, hey, a lot could happen in 10 years, and there could be a lot of growth in 10 years. Even if half the time, right, from 2010 to about 2015, I felt like there was zero growth. There was still some type of growth, but I wasted a lot of that time. And a lot of that time wasted could come back, and it could come back into your life, right? And you were trying to fight it, and you're like, no, wait, I'm not that person anymore, right? So I want to talk about those things. So the first half of the last decade was not the greatest, right? I was just out of high school, first year out of high school. You go to college, first semester, still in 2009, right? Was great, right? So that was good. First semester of college. Second semester, I got a car, and it seems like when I got a car, it just went downhill from there. Um, so it was really interesting when I first started college. It was great, and then it just got really bad, and then I ended up transferring to Rio Hondo, probably the worst idea ever, and I was just out there messing around, right? So first half, I had some labels that I put on myself and that maybe other people put on me. Not so many people knew, but I definitely knew. One was a pot smoker, right? I smoked pot for about 5 years or so. We all know that. Binge drinker. I did drugs. I had really bad relationships. So the first half, right, first half of the last decade, I was defined by those things. And they were not because other people put it on. That's because I knew who I was at that moment. So I kind of, you think about the whole last decade, and you kind of break it up into half. I hit a halftime. 2015 was my halftime. It's like, wait, timeout. Let press it. Timeout. Kind of like Kevin Hart does it in Central Intelligence. Timeout. Back it up. Right. Back it up, Ted. And so now the second half of the decade, it started really turning around. I a lot of amazing things happened the last 5 years, which is insane. I gave my life to God. I got married. I quit my job, and I went into this entrepreneurship route. So there's a lot of great things that happened in the last 5 years. And there's way too many to name. And we finished off the year, and we found out that my wife is pregnant. So that's another story for another time, because I could go all day about the excitement I have to be a dad, the blessing that it is. Like, I'm even getting hot just thinking about it right now. That's how excited I am, and a little nervous, right? I mean, that's only natural. Um, but some things I want to talk about. The biggest lessons that I had from the first 5 years and the second 5 years. One of the biggest takeaways that I have is you are who you surround yourself with. And I know we harp on this a lot. I know we talked about this a lot on this podcast. You are 100% who you hang out with. So the people who you hang out with, that's exactly who you are, right? You hang out with a bunch of drug dealers, you become a drug dealer, right? You hang out with a bunch of pastors, you might become a pastor. And that's all relative to who you want to be. I'm not anybody to say that's bad or wrong, but I know the people that I was hanging around with for a moment, and I'm like my really good friends. There's just certain people that I was around that I became them. Lazy, complacent, right? Even at work, working at Griffles, it was like I was around these people who were just felt like they were stuck, so I was starting to become stuck with them, right? They're amazing people, but still, that's not who I wanted to be. And that's my point. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm not here to say, hey, well, they're living a lifestyle, their lifestyle suck. No, I mean, hey, if they have more power to them, man. If they want to live that lifestyle, great. Not me, though. And also, there's a couple of friends I had to let go. A couple of people in my life that I had to step away from, completely just cut out, really, right? I mean, why am I going to sit here and sugarcoat this? My goodness, this dyslexia is kicking in hard, man. So yeah, I had to separate myself from some certain people, and then I was able to gain these relationships, right? These great relationships with these people who are going to be, who are and continue to speak life into me, who continue to love on me. I still have a lot of, I want to say 3 or 4 really good friends from high school still. I can probably say 5 that are really there. We all know who they are. You know who you are. I'm not gonna start saying names, because then they'll be like, you didn't say my name, right? We always got that. And then, yeah, man. So I decided I was going to separate myself and just change that type of lifestyle that I was living. I knew it wasn't good for me. I knew I was I was even around toxic people and just having toxic relationship with different people, and it wasn't good for me. So that was probably the biggest lesson, biggest takeaway from the last decade. You are who you surround yourself with. And I'm kind of going over these because I asked myself these questions, right? Like, man, okay, so like even the next question, what was the biggest success career wise? And it wasn't like a certain amount of money. It wasn't I would say it wasn't like, hey, I got the perfect job or I got the perfect business. The biggest success is that I decided to go all in. 100% just decided to go all in, put all my trust in God, and said, hey, I'm going to take the leap of faith. Just to kind of put it in perspective, I don't know how to swim, but I'm going to dive in the deep end. And that's exactly what I decided to do. I was smart about it. I saved money. I was good with my finances before I made that jump, right? Or I had a job lined up right after. Not a job. I was going into a business atmosphere where if you don't sell, you don't eat, right? So I started with car parts, started selling that with my dad and my cousin. It was great experience. I've shared before, it was great to mend that relationship with my dad. But we had different vision, different perspective on business, and that was okay, so we decided to go our own ways. And then I just decided, hey, you know what, I'm gonna go straight into real estate. And now with real estate, same thing. You don't sell, you don't eat, right? And then had a really tough time with that at the beginning, and then it just started really taking off. So now, I'm going into my 3rd year of business, and it's just been amazing. It's been a blessing. Sometimes it's not like I love it every single day, but I feel like I'm good at it, and I feel like I can really succeed at it. So not sure what the future holds, but I know real estate's always going to be in the picture. So that, I think that was my biggest success was, hey, I'm gonna just jump in, no matter what it looks like, no matter how uncomfortable I am, how scared I am, how nervous I am. Like, hey, I gotta just go all in. They're like, well, what about what if you go back to school? Where you still there's really, it's all in. Like, I have a plan A, which was being a businessman. Whether it would be with car parts or real estate, and then there's plan B. There was no plan B. That was it. There's no plan B. It's all in. So if I can give you some advice, if you are looking to make the change, don't wait. Don't set yourself up to be able to do that now. What I'm learning, the more you progress in life, the further along you are in life, the older you get, right? Let's just give it to you like that. The older you get, the harder it becomes to make that decision, to make that commitment, because now you can have rent, you can have a mortgage, you can have kids, you can have a spouse, You know, for me, I was really blessed that my wife, she was my fiance at the time, and my girlfriend, she was really encouraging and supportive. You know, but that might not be the case right now. You guys might not be in that position. You know, I lived at home to about like 2.5 years ago, right before I got married. So you know, I was 25 years old, and you know, I paid rent at home, but it wasn't like, you know, now. And so this, you got to make the sacrifices now to be able to put yourself in a position to make that jump. But do the planning now. Do not wait. So I would say that was my big success, was taking that jump, man. So go out and take the jump. Stop being scared. If you fail, great. Learn from it. Move on. If you fail again, great. Learn from it. Move on. And if you fail again, great. Learn from it. Move on. That's it. And that's what I do every single day. I learn from it and I move on. Right? But you got to learn from it. That's the key. And then so another thing was, I want to talk about the biggest blessings in my life, right? Because those were important. Number one was my salvation. 100%. 100% my salvation. I don't, there's no way to, you know, other way to put it. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I'm just glad that I have that relationship with Christ. I'm excited. I'm still learning. There's a lot to, you know, to learn. There's a lot to take in. There's a lot to process, right? It's a daily battle. I'm not perfect. I am a sinner, definitely. And but I know I'm progressing, and I know I'm becoming the man that I'm supposed to be, and I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. I do believe that. So that, you know, definitely finding Jesus, and that was my biggest blessing. Also, and I have a bunch, but I'm gonna go over just a couple, and then, you know, marry my best friend, my wife, and that was just, man, so amazing. The ride that we've had, you know, it's just been super awesome. You know, and it's crazy to think, like, you know, I know a lot of people struggle in their relationships, and I'm not saying we have a perfect relationship, but I just feel like, man, God's all over it. And yeah, we have our tiny little dips, but it's like really tiny, man. It's just, you know, I feel like we're so connected, and we're on the same page, and, you know, we communicate well. We do a lot of those things. She communicates a lot better than I do, but I'm working on it, right? But we do so well together, so that's just been a huge blessing to me, and to us. And, you know, now that we're one, and it's just been really awesome, just being able to do life with my best friend, being able to travel with her, being able to laugh, to, you know, cry. I mean, I don't do too much crying. It's funny because back in the day, I actually was kind of known for being really emotional. Now I wish I was a little bit more emotional. I still am, but you know, anyways. And then also finding out that she was pregnant, man, that was really life changing. So going into the next, you know, this next decade, I'm going to be a father, and it's scary, it's nerve wracking, but I'm also really excited. You know, I have really cool conversations with my son all the time. Now that I know that he's a boy, we haven't announced this to everybody, but we do have a name for him already. It's going to be Jedediah Bear Cedeno. We're super excited, and yes, I said Bear as in Bear. That's going to be his middle name, right? So you might as well embrace it. Super excited for our son. You know, we're just praying for a healthy pregnancy. We're praying for a healthy delivery, healthy baby, and most importantly, healthy mama. That's number one, really. And yeah, so we're super excited. So pray for us. You know, I know we're in for a huge ride, but one thing that I do want to throw in there, and obviously I don't know what this looks like because I've never been a dad before, but one thing that I do want to say is, and especially on this podcast, there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to learn from my son, and just going through that experiences, but we can't, and I feel this, and like I said, please, if I insult you, please forgive me, because I don't know what this feels like yet, but we cannot allow the baby to dictate our life. Meaning, not saying things won't change. Of course things are going to change. But allowing the baby to be an excuse. Does that make sense? Allowing the baby to be a crutch. Allowing our son to be the reason why we don't do what God has called us to do. There's absolutely no reason why we should use our baby as an excuse. It should be the opposite, and we should use that as motivation. We should use that as some encouragement, right? We're the way I'm looking at it and the way I'm seeing it is like, hey, like this boy, he's gonna be able to see me. He's gonna be like, man, my dad worked his butt off. No matter what, he got stuff done. Right? He sacrificed time. He sacrificed doing things with his friends. He sacrificed whatever the case may be. I see him put up and put out every single day. And that's what I want to get out of this next decade. It's not making excuses, right? Um, why I'm late, why I do certain things. No, you know, if I know it's gonna take me 3 hours to get my kids ready, I'm gonna wake up earlier. If I know I have to be somewhere and it's important, I'm gonna be there, right? We're gonna figure out something. But again, I haven't experienced this, so I don't have any room to talk, and I might as well just show people that it still could be done, right? Be highly productive, highly successful, spiritually, mentally, with my relationships, and especially with my wife, and everything that comes with it. So there's no excuses. That's what I'm getting at. And then also another blessing was restoring relationships. I was able to restore some good relationships this year. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to take a look at what happened in this last decade and say, okay, hey, what can I work on? What relationship do I need to restore? Who do I need to connect with right now? Who do I need to contact so I can be the bigger person, really? It's like, okay, what relationship needs work? Again, we don't have to forgive everybody. That's not we don't need to do that. Right? Sorry, we need to forgive. We don't need to reconcile with them. Forgiveness, it's for both of you. Reconcile, that's a decision you have to make. But you do have to. So what I meant is forgive, but you don't have to reconcile, right? But I was able to restore a lot of relationships, and starting with my dad. Right, we all know I didn't have a great relationship with him growing up. He was in and out of jail. Wasn't there for a big part of my life, but I was able to take the time and take the sacrifice and make that jump to go into business with him. And I feel like that time was really for that, to mend that relationship, to be able to, now I can call him and I can have a 25-minute conversation with him. We're just laughing the whole time, So it's a great thing. Even with my parents, now that I don't live with them, our relationship is so much better with my stepdad. He calls me son. He never called me son before. I call him pops, whatever. I used to always call him Chris. And then same thing with my mom. My mom sees me and she gets excited. And before she's like, man, what is this guy doing? Why is he doing this to us? Kind of, it was like there's a lot of tension there. Now it's just like, wow, this is awesome. Our relationship is great. And then just restore relationships with friends. My best friends and people that I've met on the way. So it's been really, really, really awesome. This decade has been great. One thing that I'm really excited for, because I have a question: what are you most excited about in this new decade? And that's going to be that new lifestyle they have with our kid. Super excited, It's funny. I mess with my wife. Not mess with my wife, but I literally lay there and I'll have a conversation with my son. It's like, hey man, you're gonna get into some trouble, because I got into some trouble. But I don't want you to get in that much trouble. Just a little bit. Like, go out there and mess things up. Go out there and break some stuff sometimes. I don't want to have an anxious kid. Like, oh shoot, I broke that. And like, yeah, you broke it, whatever. As long as it's not over $400, I told him. And that's what I was telling my son too. If it's not over $400, you're gonna be fine. But really, guys, I'm excited for this next season of life. I'm excited for what's to come. I'm excited for this new decade, right? But with that being said, it all starts with today. It starts with this moment. It starts with the actions that I'm taking now, and I have to be efficient with my time, even more when our boy comes. So just learning how to be efficient, how to get stuff done always. So really pushing for that this year, today, this week, this month, right? It starts now. Stop waiting. Stop making excuses. Stop using your kids as excuses. Go out there and get it done. And we know that, man, like I always say, man, God's faithful. God's going to come through. So it's going to be a good one. 2020 to 2030, God willing, I get to see all those 10 years. And I'm excited for it. You should be excited for it. It's going to be great. So if guys, please share this podcast with somebody. What I'm going to start doing is, I know I've been super inconsistent, right? So that's going to be 2019 me, right? The 2020 me is going to be consistent. So now I have a schedule in place. I have a deadline. My deadline is Wednesday, right? 100% Wednesday. The podcast has to be recorded. I don't care if it's done like this, some type of recording needs to happen before Wednesday or before Wednesday midnight. Right, so really before Thursday. Same thing with posting a podcast every single week. I don't care if it gets done Tuesday, Monday, but it has to be done, and I'm gonna aim to be doing it the same day, which would be Thursday. Right, every single Thursday I have a deadline. It needs to be posted, one new podcast every single Thursday. So those are a lot of things I'm gonna be implementing now. Also with, devotional with my wife, doing the Bible Institute that we're doing. You could get a little lackadaisical with that because it's done online, but we're not going to allow that to happen. We're going to put systems in place. We're going to put schedules in place. So I encourage you, if there's something that you've been holding off on, if you have, I don't know, if you're great at makeup and you want to be doing makeup videos, I don't know what you guys want to do, right? Or, you play Legos with your kid and, it looks really cool and you record it, but you never put it on YouTube or whatever the case may be, right? You're really good at singing, but you've only done 5 videos, right? And you posted those and they got great, interaction. Interaction is not the right word I'm looking for. It's another word, but it'll come to me. Engagement, that's the word I'm looking for. If you have great engagement with those 5 videos, but you're not consistent, it's really not going to matter. And the same thing with this podcast. I can have the greatest guest on here, but if I only do one podcast every 3 months, it's not consistent enough. People are not going to be interested in it, and I understand that. So if you guys can share this, 2, if there's anything that you would like to do, feel free to reach out. If it's even starting a podcast, I'm always willing to share with what I do. I have a really basic setup. I use my iPhone. I do everything on the iPhone. I just have some pretty cool components to it. So if there's anything I can help with, I would love to help. I do have just a limited range of knowledge with it, but I do what I have to do. I get it done. I'm a one-man team, but it gets done. So that's the most important thing. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Here to help. But I love you guys, man. I'm super excited for this next year, and it's going to be a great one. So how I finish every single episode. And this one might have been a quick one, but it was a good one, I believe. And we're going to get some good guests on here. Guest is going to be the next thing. We're going to get some guests. It's going to be a good one. But like how I end every show, if nobody loves you, Jesus loves you. All right, guys. You guys have a good one, man. Love you guys.